From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
It was the anniversary of the birthday of Thomas McClary, guitarist with the Commodores. Of course, one of their biggest ever. Joining me right now, one of my favorite people in the world, Kash Patel, Trump senior advisor. Kash, it is so good to speak with you again. Unexpectedly, I'm sitting in for Larry today. How are you, Kash?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm on the team tour in Georgia, on the bus tour, and it's great to be with you, and I'm so glad to be able to do this with you.
Now, I want to talk about Iran. I know you want to talk about Iran, but I have to do this first. I have to ask you, because your book, Government Gangsters, The Deep State, The Truth, and the Battle for Our Democracy is a bestseller, and it is still selling. So, coincidentally this morning, I saw a clip from former Ambassador John Bolton, and he was with Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 2 minutes, but I want you to just listen to the beginning. After this, we'll talk about Iran. Hit it, Carlos.
And as to whether there's a deep state, they're not smart enough to be a deep state.
Bolton.
If there were a deep state, we wouldn't be here having this debate, I can tell you. There are a lot of good people out there trying to do the right thing, but the idea that we're run by a deep state is deeply paranoid.
So I respectfully disagree with that, actually.
All right, now Vivek lays out the case, but I'm just, interest of time, I don't mean to cut Vivek short, but I want to get to Kash Patel. So you heard John Bolton. There's no deep state. People are not smart enough to have a deep state. What say you, Kash Patel?
Well, only people who have authored and architected the deep state, like John Bolton, want that to be a right-wing conspiracy theory, but it's a reality. And it's why Government Gangsters is a bestseller 12 straight months running. President Trump called the book The Roadmap for 2024 and the blueprint to wiping out the corruption in D.C. And John Bolton and others like him, Esper and Haspel and Barr and Garland and Wray, are all members of the uniparty in Washington that Donald Trump is wiping out slowly. And if he's reelected, he's going to expose their corruption. These are the people that gave you Russiagate. These are the people that gave you the 51 Intel letter. These are people that robbed Americans of the truth and care about one thing, their pockets. And they care about a title, and they care about a landing spot after government. So whenever you hear that it is not them, you know that they are actually the ones running it. And that's why we're doing so well. And cool news, Government Gangsters is now a film. You can go to warroom.film, warroom.film. We just launched it a month ago. Steve Bannon turned it into the blockbuster political film of the election cycle. So check it out. And then once you watch it, maybe Bolton will watch it. I'll send him a couple of copies of the book, too. Then he can tell me there's not a deep state.
Thank you, Kash. Now, Iran. I am of the belief that the world will not be free from the kind of conflicts we are seeing in the Middle East until Iran is dealt with one way or another. What is your take on Iran? Are we headed to World War III? What's going on in the region, Kash?
We just have to remind people that Iran is the number one state sponsor of terror, and President Trump prioritized not just intelligence collection against them as our adversary, but also shut down their nuclear program. Remember, the Biden-Harris-Obama regime is the one that gave us the Iran nuclear deal. It was a pathway for Iran to get a nuclear weapon, which is what Harris has allowed them to do by giving them the mullahs $7 billion. And what did they do with that $7 billion? They launched a world war into Israel, killing thousands, taking Americans hostages, and creating a global shift in the Middle East where Donald Trump brought world peace. And that's the difference. They bend the knee, the Harris administration, to the terrorists and the mullahs, to Hezbollah and to Hamas. They didn't even recognize Hamas as a foreign terrorist organization. We did that on day one. They reversed it. They actually said, no, they're friends, we'll work with them. And until and unless we deal with not just Iran and their mullahs and their terror regime and the Quds Force, and until we suffocate them by bringing back Trump's brilliant sanctions regime to cripple their economy and bring their nuclear program to a halt, we will not be able to shut down the number one state sponsor of terror. And only one man in this race can do it. He did it before, and that's President Trump. And that's why we need his policies back more than ever. People are seeing every day the casualty of failing to take on Iran and politicizing it like Harris and Biden are doing.
Let me ask you this. In my view, Iran has been in a state of Cold War with America since the Reagan administration. Iran is responsible for the deaths of American military members, and they have been. Iran is a party to terrorism that has killed Americans. What is the reluctance on the part of Democrat administrations? Biden sent them money. Obama sent them billions of dollars in cash in the middle of the night on pallets, on private jet with no opposition, virtually, even from some of us on the other side who said this is horrible. But yet it still happened. There was no reproach from it, no legislative reproach against it. Why is it so difficult to understand that Iran has been at war with the United States for decades?
Because the mainstream media has been in bed with the people that have wanted to bend the knee to Iran. And they want you to believe, as Jake Sullivan, President Trump's national security advisor, a year ago said, the Middle East has never been quieter. And as we approach the one-year anniversary of October 7th, what did they do 4 days after the national security genius mind of Jake Sullivan? They launched a world war. And what did they just do last week? They launched an all-out attack and blitz into Israel. So if you don't turn on the TV and you don't read the mainstream media, then you get to tune into great shows like this who show you, tragically, unfortunately, what the reality is. And that's the brilliance of President Trump. He's not about to lie to you about national security. He's about to bring it to a head. And he's about to show you what it takes to defeat that war machine that's over there. And you have to do it by prioritizing and by making sure we never have another Afghanistan again. And that is what these people want. They want the defense industrial complex to be increased with budgets so that they can get paid and serve on boards. But we, under the President Trump movement, believe there is a way smartly to have a commander-in-chief who knows how to bring it all to an end peacefully without another world war. We are done fighting other people's wars and sending our children to die on their battlefields.
Wait a minute. You say that, Kash, but Europe is still not stepping up to the plate. When has the European Union, or before that, the European nations, when have they stepped up to the plate to deal with these international problems since the end of World War II and the beginning of NATO? When have they ever stepped up?
One time, when President Trump said, NATO, you're paying your own fair share. And that's the thing the deep state that John Bolton is a part of doesn't want you to recognize because he benefits from it monetarily. Donald Trump went out there and said, we are done playing the solo defender of the world. You, Europe, where this is on your shores, must fall in line. Germany, England, Great Britain, Spain, France, everywhere else, Italy, you guys got to pay your own fair share. And now we see the Harris-Biden administration doing what they want, funding the United Nations and paying for quote-unquote global security again, but all they're doing is lighting our taxpayer dollars on fire and importing election interference operations like Vladimir Zelensky signing bombs in Pennsylvania, American-made bombs, to be used in a foreign war yet again. And we are footing that bill. Once again, we have seen the total 180 that they have done under the Harris administration, and it will continue to be a world war until Donald Trump's back in office.
Well, let me finally ask you this. Are you optimistic, Kash? Do you think that enough Americans share this point of view, realize what's at stake? Are you expecting this to be a tight race? Are you expecting Donald Trump to prevail?
I'm expecting President Trump to continue on his mission to put America first. And I'm out here on the Team Trump bus tour in Georgia. We were in Wisconsin. We're going to Pennsylvania. We're going to North Carolina. You saw President Trump react not just to disaster relief efforts before the Harris administration, but you've seen President Trump react to how to safeguard this nation. So I'm confident with the crowds we are seeing that everybody wants to participate in the America First movement. And the only place to do that is at TrumpForce47.com, TrumpForce47.com. And go ahead and send John Bolton a signed copy of Government Gangsters. Just give me his address, and I'll send him a nice penned one. And I'll happily debate that guy, too. Vivek was right. There is a deep state. He's a part of it, and President Trump is exposing it brilliantly. And that's what they fear more than anything in Washington, D.C. Let's retire the Bushes, the Obamas, the Cheneys, and the Clintons permanently and end that uniparty rule.
Tell us again where people can find Government Gangsters, The Deep State, The Truth in the Battle for Our Democracy, and the film Government Gangsters.
Thank you, my friend. GovernmentGangsters.com for signed copies, Amazon and everywhere else for other copies of Government Gangsters, and warroom.film. Warroom.film. We're screening the movie across the nation, but you can have it on your laptop and in your TVs today. Have your own screenings. We bring to life what Donald Trump has been living and fighting against in Government Gangsters.
Kash Patel, it is always a pleasure to hear from you. You are an amazing American. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us on the Larry Kudlow Show.
Thank you, my friend.
James Golden, a.k.a. Snurley, with you here. Coming back, we are going to speak with John McLaughlin, pollster, strategic consultant with McLaughlin & Associates. Don't you dare go away.
Larry Kudlow.